In this video, I'm going to talk about the new release of Topaz Labs Video Enhance AI and kind of go over how I use it, how I determined what models to use, and kind of tell you what I think about it. If you found this video helpful at all and you're considering buying this the Video Enhance AI, please consider using the link in the description. I get a small portion of every sale, and yeah, I really appreciate your support. So the time has come once again where I take a look at the newest version of Topaz Video AI, and this version is version 6. I think it's 6.1 or 6.0.1. I'll confirm that in a sec. Just to confirm, this is Topaz Labs 6.0.1, just for reference. And I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to go over everything that I've learned. I've been playing with the software since they released it. I've typically released my video a little sooner after it's been released, but I wanted to, put it through its paces and see what it can do, and get a feel for all the changes that have come with this release, and which I think overall are positive. It's every time they put out one of these, sort of I have to play a little bit of catch up and figure out how to do everything again. But overall, I think the changes they made were pretty good. So I guess at the end of the video, I'll kind of give you my opinion on whether, if you're coming from like an older version of Topaz, let's say 4.0 or older, should you upgrade? I'm going to go ahead and tell you, yeah, I think it's, anything before 5.0, it's probably a good time to upgrade. Some of the models, like this Rhea model here, is quite promising, and also this Nixa model is kind of, I found some areas where that does come in handy. So in these videos, I typically go through all the preferences, in the menus here. I'm just kind of go through it rather quickly. It hasn't really changed much since last time, so I'm just going to go do the stuff that I typically change when I, get a new version of the software. Like in general, I typically change the default preset to upscale to FHD, that's full HD. And because most of the time, I don't typically upscale past HD unless it's like a very short clip, because it takes a long time to do like to go from full HD to 4K. There, you have to have a good reason to do anything, and I can imagine if it's under a 5-minute clip, it's probably fine. Maybe 10-minute clip, but it does take a while, even with a good GPU, which I have. I'm currently running an RTX 2080 Super. I also have a 1660 Ti, but that's not being used for that would take a really long time. I just need a second GPU because I have a multi-monitor setup, so I need 2 GPUs to have enough HDMI outs or DisplayPort outs, that kind of thing. So again, 2080 Super. I really don't touch the timecode settings, directories. Again, don't really refer to this. I really don't touch that. Again, processing, I typically up this to 100%. If you tend to multitask and you're running, you're doing a lot of things at the same time, you can lower this to 80. I think it does default to 80%, but I up it to 100. When I'm processing through Topaz, I typically leave it alone. I'm done. Let's say if it's a longer video, I might do it overnight, so I don't care about the max memory. And I think your computer's smart enough that it'll figure out. It can maybe use some system memory as opposed to just using the dedicated GPU memory. I've been running it at 100. I haven't noticed any problems. I don't really mess around with image sequences, that kind of thing, so I'm just not going to even go there. Let's see. I honestly don't ever touch this default import, and this DPX conversion. I really don't. That is beyond my skill. I don't use this, so I'm not going to talk about it since I don't know about it. So the default settings, this is actually kind of useful. These are the settings that I typically set at when I'm converting something that's SD to like HD. These are the settings that have worked fine for me, and it doesn't, you don't end up with a huge file. I go with H.265, which is a very very common codec at this point, and I use the main profile. You don't need to use main 10. because you probably started with a video that's not 10-bit and to begin with, and it sort of doesn't make any sense to go from like an 8-bit video to 10. You're not getting extra bits out of it, so I would just stick with the main profile. And you can do, actually you can do constant or dynamic. I think I'm gonna, so that's the thing. If you set it to dynamic, you have to change the quality level. I actually like setting the bit rate, so I set it to constant. And default audio settings, I usually copy what the original audio that was on the original video, and so I leave it to copy. And you can select the container, MOV, MKV, and MP4. I like MKV. I'm just an MKV kind of guy. And disk space, I don't mess with. I guess you can set a critical amount of disk space, so maybe it'll stop or not even let you. It may like cancel a process, one of your conversions or whatever. I again never ran into an issue with this before. I don't know. I've never used cloud processing. I do everything locally, so I can't comment on this cloud processing. But I do have it checked, so it's possible that it has been helping, and I just haven't even noticed. But I've checked my GPU usage, and it's always at 100% or close to it when I'm doing an upscale. One thing to note about these menu, there's usually a button for all these things other than plugins. Let's say, again, I don't mess with plugins. I usually just keep it pretty simple, and I just kind of mess around with the models that are included. But let's go ahead and open one of these files. I'm going to start with this grainy. I actually made a video. I took some pretty good quality like stock video, and I made an extremely grainy version of it. So just to test out how to get it to, if I can, clear it up. So it was super clean, and it turned into this. So it's extremely grainy, a lot of grain, some lines here. So I'll go ahead and play it. I'm going to play it from here, and this is what the video looks like. It's, like I said, very grainy. I guess I was trying to mimic like what an old like film, like some really old film stock would look like. Maybe like some 16mm, 8mm film. I made it pretty extreme. So let's go ahead and see what I can do with this. And I've been toying around with these models for a while, and I'm gonna just go right to it and tell you what I thought was the best one. I liked NYX, this NYX model the most, and I'll kind of show you, I'll compare it to others, but I'm gonna render 2 seconds here and show you what that looks like. So I already did my homework, so I don't want to waste your time and like go through a bunch of models. I'm just gonna tell you that this one is the best. So as you can see, there are certain little bits of grain that it couldn't remove, but if you zoom in, it does look pretty good. I mean, it does have, like I said, this is the best one that worked. So I can show you another model, like let's try Iris, and for the same scene, and render 2 seconds. And you're gonna see it really doesn't do a good job. It looks a little better, but barely. See, that's it. It's done. It's not. I wouldn't consider that any better. But if you go back to the NYX model, I mean, what a difference. So if you have extremely grainy video like this here on the left side, this does a really good job. I have no notes. Again, I think there's certain things that it really can't remove. Some of these bigger grains here, or stuff embedded within the fabric behind the soft, like a reflection here. It really can't do much of that, but look at the other side. It is significantly cleaned up. So I'm gonna go ahead and run my pretty much my all-time favorite model, Artemis, and high quality, and I'll show you that it really doesn't do much at all. So yeah, it's not really meant for this amount of noise, and in fact it actually might have made it worse. So it sort of, like, the original actually looks better, which is, there you go. So I'm going to open another, and I'll show you another scene, I guess. I can show you this scene where there's, I think they're just drinking coffee or something in a nice wintry scene. So I'm going to go back to NYX and show you what that looks like. Nix takes a little longer to process than like your Artemis's, or it's like I think I'm like, yeah, I'm getting like 10 frames per second there. But look, I mean, look, it does a pretty good job. So if you have really grainy video, I would just go straight to Nix. It does a pretty good job. I mean, it's not perfect, but it is significantly improved. I mean, look at his hand, a lot more definition. The sweater is a lot more defined. It really does a really good job. It looks a tad artificial, but it's, you know, I think I would call this passable. It's not like crazy artificial looking. Like, it doesn't look like CGI or anything. Again, I'll show you Iris again, which I like for certain kinds of video. And again, I'm getting about 22 frames per second. Really doesn't do much. Maybe cleans up the face a little bit, but that's about it. So let's go to another video source. I'm going to go to, this is a Dead Poets Society trailer. And I'm going to kind of go to, there's this one scene that I found where there's a, yeah, like here. This is this can be a challenge. So we got a lot of faces. Everything's kind of zoomed out. This is kind of a low resolution. I think, yeah, I guess the resolution is 706, about 396p, I guess. So it's pretty low. I'm gonna go ahead and start with my favorite Artemis and see what that does here. Artemis processes pretty quick. Okay. So if you zoom in, you can see it does make it a little artificial, but it does clean it up quite a bit. You know, again, I wouldn't go beyond low quality. Medium quality, low quality would look funny. If I do low quality here, it would just look weird. It's a little too aggressive. So I'll go back to like high quality. It's not as crazy. Yeah, I mean, the low, I mean, it just looks very artificial. Look at this guy's face. Here it's sort of like takes it to just enough of like improvement, removes a lot of the noise. And again, this is quite zoomed in. If you go back out, if you zoom out a bit, it actually looks pretty good. Let's do what let's try this Rhea model, which is one of the newer ones. This one is takes a little more processing time, but it's a little more aggressive than Artemis, but not quite as that Artemis low that I just showed you. So yeah, let's see what this looks like. So this sort of takes some guesses. It definitely improves his face, but again, it looks a little not realistic. I think it does a slightly better job than that Artemis low that I showed you. But it does insert a little more like that AI like spice into the picture. Again, this is quite, I mean, if you like zoom out, you could arguably say that this looks better than Artemis high quality, but it's not as real looking. Like if you look at this face from this distance, it looks okay, but if you zoom in, that looks a little weird. And here, I don't know. I like to keep things, you know, but look at the difference on this side. Look, I mean, let's zoom in again. Let's zoom in. I mean, this is what the amount of information it's working with, and it produces this. Again, looks weird, but this is pretty far into the picture, and it's trying to figure something out. Look at this, like these lines on the chalkboard. It kind of takes this almost like blurry nothing, and it actually looks like something that somebody actually wrote on a chalkboard. It looks a lot more legible. I can't make out what it is, but it definitely looks better than that. Let's check out, let's do Iris. I think Iris could maybe do a good job with this scene as well. So Iris is sort of similar to that Rhea, but it's a little less aggressive. Again, this guy's face looks a little weird, but again, it's a very blurry mess here. So it tries to make a little like a blurry mess into something like that. This guy looks a little weird too. Almost gives him like a Hitler mustache there. Yeah, let's go back to Artemis. That Artemis high quality, it's sort of like more natural looking, and it just cleans it up a little bit and makes it a little more pleasing to watch. For this particular scene, this is what I would go with, unless you want something very aggressive. Again, when you're zooming into a face, when the face is much closer, it's very possible that one of these other ones would look better. Like if you look at Robin Williams here, and I go to, I'm going to just run Artemis high quality here. Again, it has a lot more detail to work with, so it's going to do a lot better. I was looking at, that other scene was like very zoomed in. So yeah, it looks, even this Artemis looks really good. If I go to like Iris, it may even look even better, but you have to, when you're doing something, you got to think of the entire video, not just one scene. So what's going to look better overall? I would say this probably looks better than the Artemis, but again, you have to kind of take into consideration what this looks like as well. So again, I would stick with Artemis for this scene, but you can, it's whatever you prefer. But just kind of play with it and see what you like more. Let's go. I'm gonna bring in. I was gonna look at. Let me see it. There's this Tron video I kind of liked too. Let's bring in this Tron video. This is a Tron trailer. I'm just gonna look at like one particular area. This is pretty noisy. Similar resolution as the Dead Poets. Here we'll do maybe like this wireframe area here. Right, let's do that. I'm gonna set this to full HD, and I'm gonna start with my I'm gonna start with Artemis here. See what Artemis can do. Again, about 10 frames per second. I mean, it definitely cleans up the image. Doesn't do much with the wireframing, but look at these lines over here are almost converging. They're almost touching each other. It's so like very little detail. So it sort of defines it a little better with this Artemis. Let's see what this Rhea does. I think it might be better. It's possible, or it may be too aggressive. Rhea takes a little longer. I only render 2 seconds because you just want to get a feel for it. You don't want to spend all day like rendering a preview. This might be a little too much, but it does clean up the area a little more. I would say similar results. Let's go to, how about here? Let's try this Rhea here and see what that looks like. So I'm sort of, I'm going through my thought process of how I would choose a particular model. So there is a point to all of these, like switching between scenes and stuff. How to choose the correct model for your particular video. So this one kind of cleans it up a bit, and I mean, it certainly looks more detailed. I mean, if you look here, I mean, it's a lot cleaner. You don't have all these like weird, like, it gets rid of all these like red and blues and greens here, all over here, and it definitely looks a lot better, a lot smoother. That looks like HD video right here, just like old HD video, you can say. Let's try Iris, and I think with this one, Iris might be the winner, but let's see. Iris works well too. It's a little less aggressive. Oh, here's a good one. Let's try this. Let's try Iris, and then we'll do Rhea and check out Artemis and see what I like more. This is pretty good. It might be too aggressive. It sort of takes away a little bit of the charm of it, but it certainly cleans it up pretty well. Let's do Rhea. That really cleans it up. Like, that is way more aggressive, but man, look at his helmet. It looks significantly better, but something weird with the eyes though. But it might just be, if you step forward a bit, maybe. I mean, that looks pretty good. I mean, you got some artifacting here. It's a little too aggressive in my opinion. Let's try Artemis, high quality. Artemis is slightly faster to render. Yeah, I think, again, as like a lot of times, it's just a more natural looking image. It does clean it up a lot, just enough to make it more palatable. And look, those weird artifacts aren't there. Let's go back to Rhea and Iris. Iris doesn't have them as bad as Rhea, but you know, Artemis is just enough smoothing. It cleans it up just enough. I like Artemis a lot here. So I'm going to stick with Artemis here. My second choice would be Iris, depending on what you prefer. I mean, if you look at this, like the light here, it looks a little better. Actually, they look comparable, but Iris is a little more aggressive, but Artemis just looks more natural, in my opinion. So you don't want to. I try to always try to find the most aggressive model that I can use, but without it looking weird. You know, that's always my goal. I'm gonna bring in a Beetlejuice trailer. So just to do something a little more modern. So this is a high quality. I converted these. I took a 1080p Beetlejuice trailer, and I made 3 versions of it. So I can just show you what I did. I took this Beetlejuice trailer, which is 1080p, and I made a high version, a medium version, a low version, and a crazy bad version, like really bad. And I'm gonna see what we can do with them. High is gonna be simple, very simple. Again, full HD. We can do Iris. Let's find a scene with. This is probably good enough quality that I could probably take this to 4K if I wanted to. Like here, I mean, that already looks really good. Again, this is 480p. Taking it to, I could probably take, this is good enough that I could probably just go 4K. Again, takes a lot longer to process. I'm getting like 7 frames per second. It doesn't look that, you know, I would still probably stick to full HD, but you know, if you have video this good, you could probably take this to 1080 to 4K if you wanted to. If you start out with something like this, if you go any lower quality, I wouldn't recommend it personally. So I want to try to find something a little with more people in the scene here. So this is the real test. I'm starting again 480. So let's try to go 4K and see what kind of detail we can get out of this with using Iris. About almost 8 frames per second here. I mean, there's certainly, I wouldn't call that like a big difference in detail. A little bit. This is what happens when you go a little too aggressive. You kind of do this crazy stuff with the eyes. It looks a little weird, but again, this is what it's working with. Look, it's like a very blurry mess. And again, I'm like super zoomed in. I'm like really zoomed in. If you look at Winona Ryder, it looks pretty good. You know, a little more definition in the forehead here, but it's not crazy. I would consider, if you want to go 4K, you want to go pretty aggressive and maybe try, that'll take a little longer. So here I'm getting about 6 frames per second. Yeah, weird things are kind of going on. But again, this is very zoomed in. I don't know exactly how much, but this is the kind of thing that you end up with. It's sort of out of focus. It's trying to bring detail out of where there really isn't any. Same goes for here. It's trying its best to give you some kind of detail, but there's like a blurry mess here. Let's look at Catherine O'Hara here. Let's try Rhea here. This would probably be come out a little better. Yeah, here you got enough detail. It's giving it a little more, it's keeping it quite natural. The eyes don't look weird. It's not doing crazy stuff with the wrinkles either, which is good. You know, I would say this looks pretty good, but it's not, I wouldn't call this significantly better than that. You know, it's a little better, but it's not crazy better. So again, a lot of times I would just stick with full HD if you're coming from 480p, but you know, this is just an example of what you can do up to 4K from a very good quality source like this one. I'm going to go ahead and bring in like the medium quality file. Let's just look at Beetlejuice. He comes out at the end here. Here we go. Again, this is also pretty good quality. I wouldn't take this beyond 1080p personally. It's still good quality though. Well, let's try Iris here. It's sort of, it accentuates his wrinkles here. Not the prettiest face. A little more definition in the hair. But overall, I would say that's a bit of an improvement. Again, it's a lot faster to do 1080p. Let's just look at one more scene in this one, and then we're going to move on to the really fun stuff like low and crazy. All right, let's look at Winona here. We'll do I'll render here this in Iris and maybe check out Rhea and see what it does. I mean, I would call that a significant improvement. Look at that. I mean, it doesn't look very good at all on this side. This side, it looks very clean, much better. Iris sometimes does a good job. You know, I'll try Artemis as well. I would say Iris did a better job than I mean, look at Iris. It's a significant improvement. Look at the hair. This is like super blurry, and this is the kind of stuff it came up with. I mean, this is a significant improvement. We'll do Rhea, and then we'll move on to the next quality version. Okay, so this is way too aggressive. Let's look at Iris again. That's more natural. Iris is the way to go with this one. Definitely, 100%. I would do Iris all the way. Yeah, I mean, let's just look at them real quick. That's Artemis. That's Rhea. This is too crazy. Just doesn't look natural. And Iris just looks by far the best. Not even close. I mean, look at the hair. I don't know how it did it. This is looks really bad over here, and it actually looks very natural. Okay, that's the power of AI right there, I guess. Let me bring in, let me see the low one, and we'll do that same scene. Again, this is going to be a lot more noisier. Let's start with Artemis. I keep this side with no adjustments because I just want to see, and I always use the right side. If you click on this side, you can actually do another model if you wanted to compare one for another. I always like it looking at the original personally. So, but you can go in here and select, let's say Rhea or something, but I typically don't. I like to keep it original. So I'm gonna go keep it this side. Let's see what this did. So Artemis cleaned it up a little bit, but honestly does not look very good at all. Let's try Rhea. Don't use Proteus very much, just for the record. I don't know. And Gaia I pretty much stopped using. Again, Rhea, too aggressive. I mean, it looks it looks like a CG kind of thing. I think it just might be this section of the video that looks just worse than the rest of it for some reason. Maybe it's just blurrier. And let's do Iris again and see what it comes up with. I think it's going to struggle with this because it's just not enough detail. It still did a pretty good job. Looks a lot better. That's for sure. Even the background looks better. But I don't know if that looks like Winona Ryder. But, you know, again, significant improvement. Again, I'm going to give this one to Iris as well. And let's see what I can do here. Let's see. Wow. This is where it gets really funky. I mean, again, this is the amount of detail we're dealing with, and it's just sort of making it look weird. In this case, for this particular scene, I think just doing something a little less aggressive is better, like Artemis. Again, it still looks weird, but it's as weird as the original. It just cleans it up a bit. Sometimes you just get sometimes less is more, you know. And in this case, this is not helping that much. But you know, when a character is close up to the camera, it could definitely help a lot more. So here we can do Winona. And I mean, here Artemis does a pretty good job. It makes it look a lot better. It's definitely noisier on this side. I wonder what Iris can do. And then we're gonna move on to the crazy bad version of the video. I mean, I would say that looks pretty good as well. Yeah. Iris, overall, I mean, it was a little too aggressive with this scene here, but depending on what kind of video if it's a bunch of close-ups and stuff, you could probably turn some pretty bad footage into usable footage. But if it's something along the lines of this, where everybody's really small and there's not a lot of detail to work with, Topaz thrives on detail. The more detail you can give it, the better. You know, regardless of the resolution, it needs to be clean. You know, this probably would help a lot of people that have, you know, professionally shot SD video shot back in the day, but it's very clean video, probably digital video that's SD, but they could probably turn it into something very, very, very good HD quality video with this software. Depending on what kind of scene you're gonna upscale, you have to kind of be a little more conservative sometimes, depending on the quality. So let's go to the crazy bad one, which is fun. I mean, this is extremely noisy. This is, wow. So I'm gonna go ahead, let's just try Iris real quick and see what this can do. It definitely looks better, but look at the hair. I mean, this is the amount of detail we're dealing with here. It cleans up this blockiness on his forehead. The hair I really can't do much with. It's just, there's no detail to go from. It sort of kind of turns it into a blob. The chin looks a little weird, but I would say it looks better. It's definitely more of a defined chin than that, which is a bunch of blocks and stuff. The teeth really stands out a lot more. You know, I would say it's an improvement. Is it good? No, it's not good, but it's definitely better. So let's go to Winona. This part here with Winona, let's see what it can do. With Iris. I mean, it actually looks pretty good. It doesn't do much about this little block here. Overall, I would say that looks better. Just to see what it can do, let's go over here to this one other spot. Let's see what Iris can do here. I think this is gonna be like, it can't do anything. Yeah, I mean, the hair looks weird, but again, this is what it's working with. It actually does kind of look like hair, but it's definitely not her hair. It's kind of generated hair. This is really weird. It looks, she's developed like a pointy ear here. Whatever, this kind of supposed to be like hair mixed with the earlobe. It doesn't look good. Her face got like lots, it's like her forehead's like here, but her cheek is all the way down here, so she lost some face. I mean, again, it's like, this is what it's working with. It can't make miracles happen. What I'd like to do with this kind of videos, you just go to the extreme, right? There's not much you can do with this kind of video. It's just really not much. You can try this Iris and take it down to low quality and try that and see what it comes up with. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. It almost makes it look like surreal. I mean, but this is what it is taking this and making it into a face that sort of looks okay. But this is not what she actually looks like. But, you know, and there's Catherine O'Hara with a really big eye. Again, it's basically no information. It's just created this eye out of nothing. So in a way, this is sort of interesting. You know, this looks like the car's grill, and this looks like a graveyard in the background, but it's not what I would call good. It's sort of, you know, kind of funny almost. And when you keep playing it, it'll actually keep, if I keep playing this, it'll actually keep generating the preview for more and more. I mean, let's look here. This is all super grainy, and it actually smooths it all out and creates this weird looking, I mean, it's got a look to it. Kind of, and this almost looks okay. This like scene actually looks pretty good. Like I said, it has you can. This is sort of a way that you can take, if you make super, you know, bad video. If you shoot something and you want to give it this weird, like synthetic, almost like CGI look, you can use this and it'll create it for you, which in a way is kind of interesting. It's, you know, it's got a look to it, you know. But yeah, you know, with this kind of video, I would call it pretty much, you're not going to get anything realistic, you know, out of it. With this kind of video, you got to go to the extreme and just make it like fantasy kind of, give it like a magical fantasy kind of look, like fake look. Just go for it. You really can't do anything with this kind of quality video. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I wanted to show you in this video, and you know, I hope that helped you out. And let me know if you have any questions about the program. Overall, I think it's a solid. This is another solid entry from Topaz, and it's doing It has introduced a few new models like Rhea, which does work at some times works particularly good with like really good quality video, but overall it's another good release from Topaz, and I could easily recommend this software if you have a bunch of older videos that you want to make look better. If you go to this, looks significantly better. If you have old grainy video like this, it's like shot on film or something and it looks like this or close to that, you can end up with something very modern looking. So again, there are definitely a lot of uses for this software, and I love it. It's a permanent staple in my computer. If you're considering buying the software, please consider using the link in the description. A small portion of every sale goes to me, which I appreciate very much. But anyway, if you have any questions about Video Enhanced AI, please feel free to leave them in the comments. It really helps a lot if you could like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.